All right. So Jake Crandall sent me a message with some really thoughtful questions about my absolute hatred for the 4/9 model, or really any model that pays a coach a set percentage, no matter how much they charge for a session. And I thought that no matter how I responded, it was going to come across as dismissive, callous, know-it-all, and that's not at all where I'm coming from. I want gym owners and coaches and members all to win. And it was clear to me that Jake was an educated guy, and I wanted to have this discussion with him in a way that would allow for everybody to see kind of both sides of the coin and have me answer questions that Jake has about my methodology and hear what he has to say. Maybe I'll move a little bit. So before we go anywhere and talk about it, do me a favor and tell me and people who will see this more about you, please.
Okay, my name is Jake Crandall. I own Okie Crossfit in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Used to be part of 3 CrossFits: Okie CrossFit Midtown, Downtown, which is our current location, and Okie CrossFit Tahlequah. Our Midtown location 2 August ago, August of 17, got crushed by a huge tornado. The CrossFit community, functional fitness community, stepped in big time and helped us out with that. I learned a lot of things about insurance and stuff like that, even though I was fully insured in that process. Anybody ever has an accident, let me know. I can help you.
Hey, I can attest to the fact that fully insured and able to collect are not necessarily the same thing.
2 very, very, very different things. And yeah. So, and then I was part of Okie CrossFit Tahlequah, and it's a little bit too far away for me to give it the tender loving care that I needed to. So I sold that to my partner, Kyler Harris, who's just my former partner now, Kyler Harris, who's absolutely killing it out there. My background, after I got out of the military, I went to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana for entrepreneurship. My background before opening this gym in 2012, or these gyms in 2012, was nightclubs, bars, restaurants, all that. From when I got out of the Army, I bounced at a bar for a couple months, and then I bartended, and I did that for years. And then I got into management and then ownership. And I was a great owner at times and a bad owner at times. I had too much fun with my own supplies sometimes. I'm very honest. My mess is my message. But I mean, I think that my past restaurant experience is what gives me a different vantage point of what makes possibly a successful gym and a successful client experience for gyms.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. I know some club owners, bar owners, who are great gym owners because in the club and bar scene, it's all about getting attention and getting people in the door. And that seems to be the hardest thing for gyms to do, is get new people in the door. So I can certainly see why that would be a nice parallel for you.
Yeah, if you know Brian Alexander from Illumine in Chicago, he's actually a mentor for Two Brain. But he and I used to be part of the same nightclub company in Chicago, and here we are decades later doing this.
So
but
are you
getting our brand out?
For the record, I want everyone to know this. And some people might be like, "Oh, that's not whatever." Sure, I didn't know that 4/9 was a Two Brain business brainchild.
It's not.
Okay.
They probably run it with the most success. I also used to be an OPEX license. OPEX runs on that 44% where you can move up to 55% for their coaches. At least when I was in that group and going through all of those things right there, that's what they did. And Jim Kroll and James Fitzgerald did a great job of getting coaches to where they can earn a very good living based on that. That's what we're going to talk about with, my remark to your thing was how much does a coach deserve if somebody else built this brand and people are coming through a door because of that and the other. But both Two Brain and OPEX have used that with great success. And I'm sure they've also had mild or mediocre success or failures, opportunities to improve based on that on a case-by-case basis with those gyms. Not everybody wins, not everybody loses. But also I know chiropractors who work on that, who have big practices, who get one of one of my best friends here in Tulsa, he has chiropractors who sell their practices who come work for him because he's going to bring them enough people that they're very happy with that 44%.
To discuss that for one quick moment before we move to something else.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between the chiropractic office giving a chiropractor 44% and the CrossFit gym or the micro gym giving a coach the 44%. With the difference being that in the examples I'm describing, the coach sold the client on buying the session, sold the client on the price point, and the client was already in the gym paying their membership. So this was an added revenue source for the gym as opposed to somebody who came in because the gym has advertised personal training in the general population, right, and the owner sold it and gave the client. One more quick thing. I don't know what the chiropractic reimbursement rates are in Oklahoma, but the other thing is part of the reason why I think that percentage is a terrible way to go is if someone was paying $1,000 a training session and it cost $200 to get them to buy it to the gym, and you paid the coach $100, I think the coach should be fine making $100 an hour. So it's not about the fact that they need to make 44% or more. It's all right. They don't need to make more than 44%. They need to make a livable wage that gives them financial freedom. That's all I'm saying. So a chiropractor might, for their visit, get paid, let's call it, if it's 44%, maybe they're getting paid $28 in Oklahoma, $30 for the visit. But the chiropractor might be doing 10 visits in an hour. So they're making $280 in the hour. They don't care that it's only 44% because they have no overhead and it's $280 an hour.
Right. And I think that's where, and I'm sorry I almost interrupted you with that. I think that's where the big, kind of misconception, and I understand your stance on this is something we need to talk about. And here we are talking about it because I didn't come back at you through a keyboard calling you stupid and you don't know anything.
We may still be talking about it if you did. But.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think the thing is there's different levels of expectations, and it's not just a coach problem. It's an owner problem. Nobody can sell like an owner because we care about leads more than anybody else. When someone new walks in this place, I'm going to put extra grease in everything I say and show them, and the way I just dig into them, asking them, finding that why, that way I can show them this journey where, yeah, we haven't taught coaches to say, okay, Sally, when 5 people walk in this gym and see the owner, Jake, 3 of them sign up. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Now, and that's a real thing. Mm-hmm. So you can sell that way. Then when I see Sally working with Melinda, and these are just totally random names, sure, on pull-ups, I've trusted Sally to sell Melinda to join the gym. Then I can entrust Sally to maybe sell Melinda some skills training, maybe some nutrition, whatever. Mm-hmm. That is something that is a huge void in this because the scalability of an owner, everybody thinks they can do it. It's the reason I'm so happy with 1 gym versus 3. I mean, crazy difference, circadian rhythm, cortisol, everything just in line. Thank you, James Fitzgerald, for teaching me about all that. Mm-hmm. That's scalability is so tough. And yes, it's a training thing. And I believe that when I used to help mentor gyms and when I've been mentored by several, 2 Brain Business, obviously OPEX when I was licensed, Angelo Cisco. Angelo Cisco did a great job of wanting to actually talk to the people that worked for me to get them to rise to me. Because if he's just telling me, hey, we need them to do that, he doesn't know their personality. He doesn't know what's, and that is a systematic problem with, what do we call ourselves? Micro gyms. It's like you're going to be the janitor, you're going to be all these things. And then everybody says, you shouldn't clean toilets. your time is better spent selling clients, because your coaches are stupid. They need to clean toilets. You sell clients, that way you can pay your coaches. And we're all guilty of that. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because it's a mindset thing. How can everybody in this world say, you know what, in order to professionalize this industry, we need to let them fail forward. Like teach them how to do sales, teach them how to not oversell also. Like, not like,
if they don't need it.
Mary, if you don't sign up for this pull-up clinic, I'm going to starve to death. You just all those things. But it's teaching them how to do it, walking them through it so that you can set them up for success. I would love nothing more to sell this gym to somebody who wants to take, we've been open 7 years. I love this gym. I love these people, but who knows? I might love to sell this gym, and I moved out to the country 45 minutes away from here. There's no CrossFit out there. I could sell this gym, open up one next to my house, and not drive an hour and a half every day. But it's just like, and I've tried to do it 3 times, and it's always like, oh, wow, we got there, but you can't spell people's names right when you put them in the billing system, or these people haven't been in the billing system for 6 months. I had a coach that problem.
But so I want to try to make sure we stay on the floor. Like, where do you see, what are the questions, first of all, that you have for my perspective on it? And then we can jam on where we disagree. Okay.
So unfortunately, our first call, which isn't recorded, and we're going to have to kind of rehash it, it helped shed some light on it.
Well, just so people know, it's not recorded because the service wasn't good. We didn't cut it off because it didn't go the way we wanted it to.
Yeah. No, I love your thoughts on find what the gym needs, find what the coach needs, combine it. Mm-hmm. I love that. But I also, on one hand, a lot of people don't understand what they're worth. And again, that goes back to my previous thing, education. Like, not how many certs do you have.
So can I spell that out quickly?
Sure.
So the way I teach coaches to understand this is how much, like, most people won't do this, and it makes life much easier. How much money do you need to make to live the life you want to live?
Yeah.
Where do you want to live? What's your rent going to be? What are your utilities going to be? What kind of car are you driving? How many days off do you have per year? How many times are you going to take your wife or husband out to dinner? How many vacations are you going to go on? Add all of that up. How much money do you want to save each year and invest in something else, for example? Add that up. That's the gross number that you need to make after taxes. Okay? Number one. Now look at how many weeks per year are you working? Number two, divide big number by little number. Now, how many hours do you want to work per week inside of the gym to earn that living? Okay, 25, because that ends up being a 40-hour week, including all the other stuff you're going to do to be prepared for the 25-hour week, for example. Okay, and for people, by the way, who are like, that's part-time. Full-time gets an hour for lunch break every single day. Yep. We're talking about 25 training sessions that you're there 15 minutes early for, that you're staying 5 minutes after, that you're writing programming for. Go fuck yourself. It's not 25 hours, and it's intense.
My 2 full-time coaches work average 24 hours a week.
Perfect.
On the floor.
So now, how many dollars divided by how many weeks you're left with let's say 1/50th of the total number, because you're going to work 50 weeks, let's say. Now divide that number by how many hours you want to work in the gym on a given week. That's how many dollars you need to net per hour.
Yeah.
Now, if let's say that number ends up being 60, we talked the other day about Oklahoma. You said $50,000 would really do it for somebody. Mm-hmm. And we said, okay, well then we backed into that math and we said $40 a session, right?
Right.
But now if someone's running a class for you, unless you're a Mad Lab gym, I imagine they're not getting $40 a class. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So they need to find a way to average $40 per hour if there's only 24 hours in the week.
Okay.
Am I right? I mean, do you agree with me so far?
I do.
So if they work 12 classes, let's just say, for example, and then they have 13 hours left, and the classes are coached at 20, then the one-on-ones need to be at 60. so that they can average at 40. Math makes sense?
Yeah, I'm tracking with you.
Okay, so what I'm suggesting is that anything less than that is going to lead to resentment, and it's going to lead to financial futility for the coach if that's the long-term number. I'm not suggesting the new coach who can't sell, who doesn't have the skills, who doesn't actually have the value, be charging that.
Right.
Have a rhythm and get yourself, this is by this date, I'm going to charge this because I'll have this skill set, and this niche, and I'll serve them better than anybody else in the world can.
Absolutely.
But if you charge less than that, then you're saying, okay, the lifestyle I just told you I want to live, I cannot make as a coach. So then what kind of person do gym owners expect to get as a coach? How inspired do you expect them to be to work more, by the way, than 25 hours? Because they have to prospect, they have to consult, they have to sell. It ends up being a 40-hour week just to get to a 25-hour week.
Right.
Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the only counterpoint I would say to that is who has the realistic expectation with that coach about what a Mercedes G-Wagon costs and things like that. And then, I mean, let's talk about current situations in our country. People, I mean, I'm a former soldier in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
Did I like what I was getting paid? No, but I signed up for it.
Right.
There are millions of teachers in this country who declare on the daily that they are grossly underpaid, and I agree with most of it, but they went to school for that. Yeah. So, I mean, most people, and maybe that's this capitalism flaw, will never have enough.
No,
you know, and we're also talking about your and my generation being the first that's not going to be better off than our parents, right? It's like we are tipping that scale. So at some point there has to be you signed up for this job that you get to wear basically your underwear to work. You're going to work, yes, 40 hours a week because you're going to have duties and we're going to expect some things of you, and you're going to get to work out at work and blah, 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 and have this living your best life and being so fulfilled. But for the barrier of entry of education, like you don't have to have this science degree or anything, right? Unfortunately, you can just walk in with an L1 and a check from your grandparents and open something up. Doesn't mean you're going to stay open.
Well, that's huge problem. Full agreement with you on that.
Yeah.
Huge problem. So, the barrier to entry is literally a door that you walk.
I think the barrier to entry is also what sets it up to where there can be resentment between coaches and owners. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy did this. They don't know that I was coaching my tail off for the first 5 years, just working to the bone, not paying myself the first 2 years at all, just like scraping by, keeping my gym off of Groupon because that's garbage, but like just trying to figure out a way to get 4 more people some months. Just
I get you.
4 people, right?
I'd like to speak to it. Can I speak to what you said before?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with you that if someone's like, oh, my ideal life has me driving the G-Wagon in a 5-acre lot with a 7-bedroom house in New York. It's like, well, you're going to have to make money that is probably outside of the realm of what a trainer is going to be able to demand for a session.
Yeah.
So my point to that person is get out. This career doesn't get you that life.
Yeah.
And be realistic about that. Now, that being said, we're talking about someone making $50,000 in Oklahoma, having to charge $60 a session to be a full-time coach on a salary to compensate for the money that they're making in the hours that they're not doing one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's unrealistic.
Right.
So regardless of that, teachers are underpaid in places, cops are underpaid in places, military is underpaid in places. Those people made the decision to take those careers knowing that they were capped by a salary.
Yes.
Different. They're getting a salary. They also get benefits. They also get a pension. They also get time off that's guaranteed. And they chose it. The trainer walks into a gym with really no ceiling because there isn't a salary. It's eat what you kill, bro. So if I can go kill a mammoth, why do I have to always eat fox?
Right.
So if I'm a coach in your gym, let's just say I walk into Oki CrossFit, I'm like, you know what? I feel like a challenge. One of my business coaches sold a business for tens of millions of dollars and then went and got a job at Target as a stock boy. Just wanted to see what it was like to have an entry-level job.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever. Let's say I decided I want to come do that. There's no ceiling. If I walk in and I say, you know, I think that there's an opportunity here, Jake, where we can run a program that can bring in another $4,000 a month. I'm going to run it from scratch, zero budget from you. It's going to cost me this much time. I'd like to be compensated $2,500 for it. And it's not going to cost you time. It's not going to cost you space. It's not going to cost you money. Are you good with it?
That's a win-win.
Of course. But that's not 44%. So to me, it's no different than the personal training session where someone's already in the gym. I walk over to Mike or Jane or Mark or Steve or Bobby, whoever it is. And I'm like, hey, every time you come, I notice that you're frustrated that you can't pull that weight off the ground, that your back hurts. Can we do an assessment and take a look at what's going on and see if we can maybe figure out why that's a problem for you? Sure. And by the way, I'm there for free because I'm the second coach in class, busting my ass for the opportunity to make more money per hour. I then work with this person for an hour for free to assess them, to figure out what their problem is. And then I sell them a 12-pack. Your prices before were 70. I was making 30, but I said, I need to make 60. So is it okay with you, Jake, if I charge them 100 and make 60 and you're still going to make your 40? Yeah. We can take out the extra $2 from my employee tax, right?
Yeah.
That's my argument. It's that I should be able to do that because now you're still winning and I'm winning. And the barrier there is you won't be able to sell that. Well, then I won't be able to do it for a living.
Right. I like that. I mean, yeah, and it's also none of my time as an owner 100%. Selling for somebody else. Because in your initial post that I responded to, like, I couldn't help but be like, I sold it, my insurance, my equipment, my good name, blah, 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 you know. And absolutely. Yeah, like if it doesn't cost me a dime and they do it, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to be really, really, really clear here. I'm not on the side of coaches and against gym owners.
Oh, I didn't think so.
I just want to make sure. I'm also not against members who are like, oh, you're underpaying. It's you members want to win. Gym owners want to win. They only win if you do. And coaches only win if the other two win. Everybody has to win for anybody to, long term. So to me, it's if we can make coaches responsible for themselves, the gym says, this is what I need to make on a session. If you want to be a trainer here, this is what I need to net. You can charge this if you want. Like you can charge whatever you want on this side of the list. Go for it. I don't see where the gym loses. Where if the gym has to take 56%, if it's always a 4-9 split, no matter how much I'm willing to sell it for, well then we'd have to sell that same session. I think we did the math. It was like $130.
Yeah, $130 to get it there.
And that's much harder to sell, right? So the 99 is much easier than the 3 digits.
Sure.
So my only point here is that it's not that 4 nights is a problem. It might be I can't afford to pay my staff 4 nights. Let me be straightforward about it. If I paid my staff 4 nights, they would be paid too much money for my company to exist because we advertise, we bring the leads in. We have an IT team, a customer service team, a sales team, and a service team. are coaches. I can't give the coaches 44%. We go out of business. But my coaches, on average, are making over $150 an hour. So they don't need a larger percentage.
Right.
Right? And they can do it from their underwear on their couch on vacation. But you follow me there?
No Zoom calls, yeah.
No Zoom calls in your underwear, guys. Well, who knows? Who knows what I got on?
Right.
But the take home that I want for coaches and gym owners and members to understand is that this is not the responsibility of the gym owner to just give you more money to do the job that you're already doing. Coaches. It's the coach's responsibility to bring no strings attached, no cost to the gym, revenue, so that you can charge more.
Yeah.
You know, I talk to coaches all the time, and it's funny because I have a professional development group that I work in, that I run, and then I work with coaches on the side, with gym owners on the side as well, as like we're trying to make sure our systems work in their gyms. We don't want them to fail.
Right.
So I'm constantly hearing from coaches, I just don't want to, I don't really care. I just don't want to, I don't want to do sessions. I'm like, why not? Because I get paid 44%, and it's like $8 more than class. I'd rather bartend. I make more money doing that. I'm like, well, if you made more, would you want to do it? Yeah, totally. Well, do you think you could sell it? Yeah, I fucking know I can sell it. And then I have to go back to the gym owner and say, here's why your 4/9 model is broken with this particular staff member. You want more staff members like this one. And if they can't hack it, get them out.
Yeah. And you know, that goes back to some of that original stuff. Like it's to professionalize the coach, you have to start with the coach. Are they just a good athlete who fell in love with CrossFit and doesn't want to do something else? Mm-hmm. Or is their care factor for people off the charts? Are they trying to impress people or trying to be impressed by people? Because those are two totally different vantage points, you know. And I will take somebody who can barely coach an air squat but cares about people. That is somebody that I want to get next to, so I can spend 3 weeks with them, coaching them on movement, and then not letting them out of my sight during a class. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, I mean, I let a coach go a month ago who knew movement well, didn't know how to program, but he didn't. You know, he couldn't give a damn about anybody else. Like he was like, watch me, and just people hated it. And that was my fault for letting it stay so long. But I mean, and that's my fault as an owner for saying, you know what, that guy's a good mover, looks good. He's coached by some training think tank guys. I bet he'd make a good coach. Like, I should have looked at his Instagram and said, wait a second, he only posts about himself, you know? And I'm not saying that's always the case, but like, I think to broaden your statement about professionalizing the coach, it's like, you know, it's not our job to make people a good human being. That was their parents' job. Like, that's the barrier to entry. Do you care about others?
I'm with you.
You care about others? Now we can start talking.
Well, and so here's my stance on that. My stand, because I agree with you all the way, all 100% of the way. You can teach somebody hard skills. It's much harder to teach them the soft skills, which is giving a shit. So they can learn them, but not in the time it takes you to make them a coach, and it's not worth your energy and teaching. So what I would ask is that gym owners get themselves educated enough on the business and on the coaching side to be able to educate their coaches. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, if they're not and they're open, no problem. Stay open, but hire somebody to train you and your staff so that you can have trained staff, because that's important. Then staff, once you're trained to that level, understand that when you coach a class in a group fitness facility, in my opinion, that is the way that you earn the right to charge more for upsell services. The gym needs you to run class for what we can all agree is an underpriced value for your time, given your education and your experience. You're running those classes so that you get the right to sell upsell items at an albatross of pricing. That's my rule for that. And if you're a coach and you have that experience and you're paying your dues coaching classes, say no when a gym owner asks you to do the same thing for one-on-one, that you market, sell, service, program, and relationship build to get yourself. And if every coach in the world who has that level of value says no to gym owners who try to make the money off of their back without the coach winning too, then all of a sudden gym owners won't be able to get coaches who are of quality to do quality work for shit money.
Mm-hmm.
And members, if you're in a gym, demand a high level of quality from the gym owner and from the coaches. You shouldn't have to breathe dog hair in when you do burpees. Your shirt shouldn't go from white to black during class. You shouldn't have to wipe piss off the toilet seat every time you go in and pick up toilet paper off the floor, right? The bathroom shouldn't smell like a bathroom.
Yeah, amen.
So when all of those things happen, if you're a member in a gym and those things are not happening, support the gym owner by telling them. If the gym owner doesn't change anything, support them by leaving.
Yeah.
Because they need to learn the hard way.
Vote with your feet.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if they are doing all of those things, well, then reward them with your wallet and buy the services that should be given to you in a gym and not a doctor's office and not YouTube.
Right.
That's my stance. And then everybody wins. Because eventually, if there's all these professional gyms, the ones who suck, yeah, they charge $99 a month. Go there. If that's what you value, go there. We're $300. Our coaching sessions are $100. Our coaches get paid $60, and everybody here wins.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Well, I'm sure I didn't help you learn anything other than about my past and being crazy. But
no, that's not true. You did.
You shed some light on that. I like being able to walk through and talk through things, and we talk through. It's not the coach's fault for not being able to do those things. It's his owner's fault for not putting them in positions to where they can then be self-supportive. You know, they're not a tag along. They're not the teenager who doesn't know how to make their bed.
It's the coach's fault for not taking the initiative. It's the owner's fault for allowing them not to take the initiative. That's my thought.
Look at that. So we 50-50 agreement. I'll shake on that.
But I did learn from you, right? Because what I learned from you is the concern about this model is I don't want to market, sell, structure a session and then give a coach more than 44% of it.
Right.
And that's fair. And I don't want to have to take time out of my day to be mentoring this coach every single day on how they do this, because then I need to be paid for that time during their session. And that's fair. So when you're being mentored, you don't make as much money on a session. But when you can achieve this with competency, proficiency, and repeatability, you're less work for the gym owner.
Yeah.
You're just making them money.
Get me 10 of those people.
That's my point. But so coaches who are going to see this, become one of those people. And you become an irrefutable hire.
Hey, let's talk about that real quick.
Sure.
Coaches, it's just that last little thing, and I don't know if it's a millennial thing. I'll be 45 this year. Like, when did it become the standard for people to come into a situation and not, like, fall in line? Like, just be in a gym for 180 days before you start changing stuff, you know, or any job. Like, if you just graduated from Harvard with an accounting degree and you got hired on at IBM as an accountant, they wouldn't let you near anything you could mess up for 180 days. And I just think, and maybe that's my fault because I get excited to trust somebody and nurture them and watch them grow. And I just like give them the keys to the castle. And they just, they're like, I've been open 7 years. I know what I'm doing. My culture's trump tight. And I go through that every single time. It's like, dude, just relax.
So
Come in and breathe this air for a minute. Go ahead.
So I think that happens because there isn't a line to fall in most places. So what I mean by that is when I work with gyms, for example, I have a gym I'm working with right now in Washington, D.C. They're a 7-figure gym every year. Now, this gym, one of the problems that they have is their coaches are constantly coming to them with ideas and enthusiasm, and the owners are like, we can't do that. It doesn't make sense. So the coaches become resentful of the owners for not listening to their ideas. The owners become resentful of the coaches for not just doing their fucking jobs. Right? So we came up with an idea checklist. And the purpose of that was, first of all, you need to be working here for this long, have coached this many classes, done this many, all of these different things before you're allowed to bring an idea to the table.
Timeline.
Reason being, you need to have experienced everything enough to understand why it might need to change. Then, once you want to bring an idea, here's what a complete idea looks like. I want to have a gymnastics class is not a fucking idea. That is a dream. I want to have a gymnastics class that fits the following criteria. And there's a checklist. How many members do you expect to be in that class? How is it going to be marketed? Who is going to market it? Are there dollars that are going to be spent behind it? How many dollars do you expect us to spend? How much money do you anticipate making off of this class? How many people are going to take the class? How long does it run for? What time of day is it going to run at? If it replaces a class, how are we going to communicate the class replacement to the members? All of these things are in the checklist. So now when a coach has an idea, they're not coming to you, Jake, with, hey, I had an idea for a program. Cool. What is it? A barbell.
I'm going to do a double under clinic and become a millionaire.
Right. Okay. Well, so now what they're looking for, you're like, okay, great. When are you going to do it? Come to me with a complete idea. I will go through it with you, determine if it seems like it actually makes financial sense.
Do a feasibility study with them.
100%. And then move it forward. You guys, you were in the military. I wasn't. You had more balls than I did. So, you guys, what's that?
I did. No.
Yeah. But you guys weren't like, oh, you know what? There's probably some bad guys in that town. Let's go just knock some doors down. That's a good idea. You plan the whole thing out. Is it feasible? Will it actually work? What is the possible downside? What's the risk? What's the reward? What's the backup plan? What's the tertiary plan? All of that stuff.
Tertiary. That's a big word. You need that. You need that backup plan.
Yeah, well, it's like, hey, this guy goes down. That's his backup guy. But that guy's backup guy went down. He's redundancy over there. Who's redundancy over here? Yeah. Right? But
it's true.
I'd be happy to send you that idea list if it would be valuable to you.
Yeah. I mean, you and I are going to be probably talking outside of this a lot. None of this fitness stuff is new. Like all of this stuff. I mean, Paul Chek, Charles Poliquin for years, back to Tudor Bumpa coming over here from the Soviet bloc. You know, none of this is new. Just like my experience in restaurants, there's always an opportunity to refine. It will never be perfect. So just like when I sent my response to you, it wasn't like, dude, this makes no sense and you're way off course. It was just like, I'm not sure where you're coming from, but let's have a conversation. Like I think that in my 7th year, I know gym owners who around those years, 4 to 7, they really start failing because it's their way or the highway. They haven't adapted. And you must, I mean, if in functional fitness we're preaching against adaptation, like as a business owner, you have to be able to step back and say, you know what, I could do this better. I can remove that. I can do this better. I should add this. And it can also not be confusing to your clients. You're not always moving things on your class schedule and all those things, but you can just kind of change the way you bring people in. You can add assessment things where people are like, oh, that never happened with me. That's okay. You're doing fine, Cindy. You've been here 4 years. We'd love to talk to you about it. But you and I we're gonna become best friends. I can tell you that. So
I like new friends. if I can leave you with one,
I'm not too.
You know what?
I'm not too needy.
Well, then I'm honored to be accepted. If I could leave you with one thing, I think that it's important for gym owners and coaches to understand this. At a certain point, the gym doesn't want to have competition amongst coaches based on price, right? So
Right.
the gym can say, look, we're going to pay our coaches this because this is what we believe is a lifestyle that we can afford coaches in this gym at the peak of their capacity here. But if you're honest with that about your coaches from the front, look, we charge 100 a session, you're going to get 60 if you can demand that. But you start at 80 a session and you're going to get 25. Right? Like, whatever, that's how it works. And then you work your way up to a different point based on sessions and education and all this stuff. If you tell a coach on the get-go, the most you're going to make here is $50,000 a year, that needs to fit the lifestyle that you anticipate wanting to live for this to be a good place for you to work.
I like that.
Now everybody's been honest and upfront. And that coach, if I came in and I was living in Oklahoma and I wasn't making that yet, I might say, I'm down for that. And then be like, hey, Jake, I have an entrepreneurial mind, but I've only made $35,000, $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year, so I can't afford to open my own gym. What do you think of this idea, which, by the way, is complete? I think it can make us a lot more money, and I'd love to get a piece of it. Sure, no problem with that.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm supposed to ask you, I sent you a screen cap
yeah. Go for it.
of these. Hold on a second. I got to go to the CrossFit Owners Affiliate Owners Group here. You will not be sorely disappointed that the only 3 responses were from the 3 biggest trolls in the CrossFit space. Gil Tall, Steven Bowser, and Mike Manning. Hold on just a second. Oh, where's my post here? Steve Bowser wants to know low or high bar in the back squat. Gil Tall wants to know more about improving his ankle mobility, particularly his left one. And Mike Manning wants to know, is it pastook or pastush?
It's pastuch.
Yeah.
Although according to anyone who speaks native Polish, it's pastuk. So I'll go with my version of it.
I've been to Warsaw. That's a beautiful city.
I've never been there.
Pizza. For real. You wouldn't think it. It was insane.
I'm a high bar guy because I feel like if you're gonna hinge, just hinge.
Yeah.
And Gil, you always talk about how much money you made.
Yeah.
So you can afford to fucking work with us.
Yeah.
Let's get it going.
Yeah, he can afford to work with you, selling those Rolexes and all that gym launch stuff.
That's right.
So, hey, I really appreciate this, and my big takeaway is I think this will open up a lot of eyes to not say that one thing is absolute crap, but say, can it be better? Can it be refined? You know, who knows? Maybe the 4 Nights program is a real great base model for like an intro coach, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, that's what we wanted, and you can graduate to this, and that's what it looks like, you know. So I mean, it's leveling up. Life is a constant, you know, forks in the road, and we don't always have to stay on the same road.
The reason why I started by saying I didn't know it was a two-brain thing is because I know I'm catching all kinds of shit behind my back in the two-brain group because people who are in there who like me are sending me the stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wish someone in that group had the balls to say something to me directly, but it wasn't a stab at two-brain. I've sent clients here. It's just that part of the system is broken. Yeah.
And you work with some pretty good people over there with Brute. I mean, I love those guys. I've known them a long time back when Tommy Hackenbruck was part of it. You know, it's just they're good movers, they're good programmers, and you know, one of these days, hopefully, there's some Brute gyms going on. Wink, wink.
I'll talk to him. You'll probably see Active Life gyms first.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Like it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got a class getting ready to start here in 1 minute, so the radio's going to get louder. And
enjoy. Go do your thing, man. Go make a living.
Shoot me this link, and we'll get it posted.
I got you. Thank you, Jake.
See you, brother.
Yeah.